Hello, my name is John Fisher, and this is Wahoo. My grandfather, Grandpa Bew, for Buford, that's what we called him, Bew. He was in the First World War. Yeah, he graduated from high school and he enlisted in the United States Army in 1918. But by the time he was ready to go overseas, the Germans had surrendered, so he didn't have to go. But he was demoted and he had to make up the time. So when World War II came around, he had to go back in. But by then he was a civil engineer, so they made him an officer. Here's a picture. I love this picture of my grandpa. You see, there he is. Isn't that great? There's my grandpa, Grandpa Bew, and there's Irma, his wife, my grandma. Don't they look like a 1940s couple? Aren't they perfect? And there's my Aunt Emmy and my Uncle Craig, and that's my daddy, Daddy Pete. That's the family. And she used to call him Bew, 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 Bew. They were a great crowd, those guys. And my father had almost the exact same experience because at the end of World War II, he got out of high school. And the day he graduated, he enlisted in the Naval Air because he wanted to fly. And he lived on Alameda at the Naval Air Station. So he enlisted in the Naval Air because he wanted to be a pilot, a carrier pilot. But then 2 months later, the Japanese surrendered. So my father was demoted. So he went to college, right? And then he became an attorney. And then he had to re-enlist in the Korean War. And he used to tell everybody when he went into the Korean War, he said, I was in World War II. Yeah, I fought it on a small island in the Pacific, Alameda. But then when he got into the Army, into the Navy in the Korean War, they sent him to the front lines. My father was JAG, Judge Advocate General, and they sent him to the front lines, the very front lines, yeah, the front lines of the Korean War in Oxnard, California. I used to ask him what he did as an attorney during the Korean War. He said, well, I gave a lot of marital advice. These guys would come to him and say, I really want to divorce my wife, Lieutenant Fisher. And he said, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. It costs a lot of money. It's emotionally damaging to the children. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And he talked all these officers out of divorcing their wives. He was very clever that way. And one of them was so grateful because the marriage worked out that he said, I'd really like to have you and Mrs. Fisher over for dinner. He said, I'm not married. He was great at giving advice on things he knew nothing about. That was my daddy. Now, my parents, they never got along. They never got along. They were perfect for divorce, but not for marriage. And they never got divorced. It was like the old Woody Allen joke. I begged them to divorce, but they didn't. They refused. And it was so difficult being around them because they're always arguing, fighting about stupid things. They fought about the stupidest things. I mean, just dumb stuff, but argue for years. But I always knew that my mommy loved my daddy because on her dressing table, she had this incredible picture of him in the United States Navy. He looked so handsome. I only knew him when he was like this white-haired 50-year-old guy. But in this picture, he had this beautiful dark hair and this handsome face and this incredible Lieutenant JG's uniform. It was spectacular. I was so impressed with this picture. And no matter how bad the arguments got, it was always there on her dressing table. And I knew that she looked at it every morning and every night before she went to bed. And that was her guy, the man she loved. One day, my father invited all of us into his dressing room because, he knew that we were into World War II, my older brother and me, and we were just little kids. And he said, come in here. And he took out this velvet-lined box and he opened it up. And inside it was full of all of his World War II memorabilia, all the insignia, all that stuff that he'd gotten during World War II. And he closed it quickly. He said, boy, oh boy, if you guys ever come in here when I'm not around, boy, oh boy, you're going to get in trouble. That's what he used to say, boy, oh boy, you're going to get in trouble. So we opened it up and we pawed through it. We loved it. And there was a medal in there. He had a medal from World War II. I found a picture of it. This is it. Yes. Isn't this a wonderful medal? Look at that. Here's this woman. She's got this broken sword, end of the war, and the ribbon, right? And I love this ribbon. And I decided because it's a rainbow ribbon that it's an award for LGBT, yeah? Well, that came later, but anyway, that was, again, my mind was always thinking, fun. But this is great, isn't it? It's a victory medal from World War II, so everybody got it. You only had to be in the war for like 10 seconds and you got a victory medal, and my daddy had one. I was so impressed. So like 2 days later, I didn't even wait that long. I snuck in there and I started going through all his stuff and dressing up and putting on uniforms and stuff. I was so excited. He had his old uniform. He had a leather flying jacket that he won in a poker game. I loved his stuff. I loved it. And he never disciplined me. He was no good at the discipline stuff. Yeah, he was perfect that way. He threatened you, but he never had any follow through. None whatsoever. He was really good about other things too. He really liked to take us on ships, Navy ships, because he knew that we loved it. And he took us up to Seattle, to Bremerton, where they had the mighty Mo, the USS Missouri, where the Japanese signed their terms of surrender. And we went on this French battleship, the Jean Bart, and we made my daddy stand in line for 4 hours to get on this ship. It was incredible, this huge line in San Francisco down at the piers. And when we finally got on, all I remember were the French sailors. They had these white round hats with these big red pom-poms on them. I thought, those are battleship sailors? That's not very scary. I would be scared if I saw that through a telescope. But we loved this old battleship. And he took us on a dependence cruise. You know, that's where the dependents of all the sailors get to go on the aircraft carrier for one day, and they leave the Golden Gate and they go out and they fly planes off the deck and land the planes. It's really exciting to get all these meals. But we didn't have any dependents. I mean, we weren't dependents. Nobody was in the Navy in our family, but my father, in his wallet, he had this old Lieutenant JG card from the Korean War, and he used to just walk up to the gangplank and say to the officer on deck, he said, I'm Peter W. Fisher, I'm Lieutenant JG, you see, there's my card. And it was like brown, it was like cracked. This thing was like old. But sometimes they fell for it. And so we got on a dependence cruise. Other times it took us out to Treasure Island and Alameda Naval Air Base, and there were destroyers there. And he'd just walk up with his card and he'd say, I'm a Naval Reserve, Peter Fisher, and some crack cards. And can we take the kids on, show them around? And he'd say, sir, this is a secure ship. He said, oh, come on, just show the kids around. Come on, it's just for the kids. And they'd actually take us on and give us a tour, a spontaneous tour of a destroyer. Can you imagine that now? After 9/11, the military now is all like, no, you can't do rules. And it's like, we pay for this stuff. Wouldn't it be nice just to go down to the Naval Air Station and say, hey, I want to go up in a plane. Hey, I want to go on an aircraft carrier. Not anymore. But he was very assertive that way. And he loved to see us enjoy ourselves because we love old Navy ships. And then we got into movies, of course. And my daddy was really into the movies about destroyers and battleships and carriers. But what we love best were the submarine movies. We love the sub movies. I think it's because the sub movies all had the same plot. Now, if you're going to make a sub movie, you have to follow all these rules. There are all these tropes. You know, it's like the Latin liturgy. It's like the Stations of the Cross. It's like going to a Catholic cathedral. I mean, you have to have all the stations. You have to have like the crucifixion, the deposition, the resurrection. You have to have those. Well, it's the same in the sub movie. A sub movie has all of the Stations of the Cross. And you'll see that in the show tonight. You'll see all the Stations of the Cross, because if you don't do that stuff, then it's not a sub story. So I'm going to go through some of these tropes, some of these Stations of the Cross for the sub movie, and I'll give the best examples for your viewing pleasure. So you can refer to these movies and see these scenes as I talk about them. So there's the periscope and the stopwatch scene. Now, the best movie for this is Run Silent, Run Deep. Yeah, that's that old 50s movie with Clark Gable and Burt Lancaster, and they're perfect for the US Navy because they're all both like, right, they look exactly the same. It's just like, the only difference is that Clark Gable still has that mustache, you know, left over from Gone with the Wind. Yeah, so then there's the depth charge movie. Yeah, every sub movie has to have a depth charge scene. It has to have a depth charge scene. Now, the best movie for this is surprising. It's Das Boot, that German movie about the German submarine, where all those Germans are like, for 2.5 hours. And they've got this incredible depth charge scene where they almost get blown up way deep underwater. Then there's the mutiny. You always have to have a mutiny or an attempted mutiny. Now, the best movie for this is Crimson Tide. That's a nuke sub movie. It's modern, but it's the best for the mutinies because you've got Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman, and they're both like, and they're really macho, and they're always like bumping off each other's chests and taking over the ship from each other. I'm in charge, I'm in charge, I'm in charge. There's like 15 mutinies in Crimson Tide. Then there's Silent Running, where everybody on the sub has to be real quiet so that the destroyers up top don't hear them and drop depth charges on them, right? The silent running scene. And the best for that is Murphy's War, where Peter O'Toole was trying to blow up those Germans in their submarine, and they have to be really quiet, and somebody knocks over a coffee cup, and that's it, too much noise. And then finally, the down the throat scene. Yeah, that's the down the throat shot, yeah. Yeah, it sounds pornographic, I know, but it's not porn. It's actually a firing shot. It's a torpedo shot for for a submarine. And the best movie for this is U571, which is that Matthew McConaughey movie. Now, I'm not a big Matthew fan. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Matthew fan, but in that movie, he's great. And he's got all these great leather submariner outfits, and he's really, and he has a great down the throat shot. So I just want to give you one last thing to go on, because I know a lot of you are sub-movie fans. So here are my recommendations for the best and the most needful to see sub-movies. Okay, the best World War II sub-movie is Run Silent, Run Deep. Yeah, the Clark Gable thing, that's great, great. The best sub-movie overall is Crimson Tide. It's so exciting. The weirdest sub-movie, don't bother with this one, it's just weird. It doesn't give you any of these scenes. It's not, is Hunt for Red October. I mean, I love Sean Connery, he's the best, but I'm just like, what? But it's a, Hunt for Red October, Alec Baldwin, but yeah. And finally, this is one that nobody knows. It's an incredible sub-movie, and it's a nuke sub-movie, so it's like modern era, but it's an incredible sub-movie and nobody knows about it. It's about a Russian submarine, a nuke sub, that melts down underwater and everybody gets radiated. And they got the best actor to play the Russian sub-commander. The Russian sub-commander. I mean, this is the most obvious actor. I mean, I'm sure you've already guessed who it is. They just got the most obvious actor to play this Russian. Yeah, they got Harrison Ford. But he's great in this movie. He's incredible. He's got like a Russian accent, and he gets super radiated and all of his hair falls out. And it's an incredible movie. And it's totally exciting. And nobody knows it, because when you go on iTunes, it's like you like type it in and it's like 1 star, 1 star. This movie's awful. It's because people love it, but they don't want you to know about it. So that's a great sub movie. Catherine Bigelow's the director. K-19. It's incredible. So some basic sub theory. Okay, so this is a visual aid. This is a sub that I made in ceramics class in 2nd grade. You see, now this is pretty good. I mean, it's not accurate to United States Navy Second World War fleet sub, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You see the hull. You can see the hull. That's pretty good. Here's the bow gun, yeah, the deck gun, and then here's the tower, with the bridge on top, and then, inside is where all the torpedoes are shot from. Now, the problem with this model is these periscopes, these 2 curving periscopes. And I gotta tell you, what this was I was in 2nd grade. This is from the cover of Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. Now, the Beatles are the greatest band ever. Don't get me wrong, they're incredible. They're the best band ever, better than Beethoven or Mozart or Wagner, or any of those people. But they didn't know much about submarines. So this is actually based on the Yellow Submarine, and these periscopes are wrong. They're very hippie-ish, these periscopes. So don't worry about that. But this will help us as a visual aid, okay? Now, attacking with a submarine is all about achieving attack position, okay? So here you are, and there's the enemy ship, and you want to be close enough and have a good shot in it, right? To launch your torpedoes. Now, in World War II, the best place to attack was on the surface. It was on the surface. You had the most control. Now, if the enemy spotted you and was attacking you, then you could dive and attack underwater with your periscopes, right? Now, the thing is, usually you have to dive fast. That's a crash dive. You have to dive fast. And the best way to dive fast is not just point down, but get everybody in the boat to run to the forward torpedo room. And that creates weight and brings it down. And then when it's achieved periscope depth, have everybody run to the aft torpedo room to balance it out. That happens in Das Boot a lot, everybody running back and forth. That's the best way to achieve periscope depth, the fastest. You need to get down fast. So generally, you want to be on the surface for an attack. But if you have to go down because somebody's trying to ram you or attack you while you're trying to attack them, then you dive as quick as possible, achieve periscope depth, and launch your torpedoes from under the water, okay? And you have to have good torpedoes. That's very important in World War II. Good torpedoes. It's all about having good, reliable torpedoes. So this is the story of Mush Morton. Mush Morton. He's my favorite submarine commander from World War II. And I'll tell you why, because he was a submarine ace. He was great at being a submarine commander, and I love the name Mush Morton. It was short for Mushmouth Morton. Yeah, that was a cartoon character, and he had kind of that strong jaw thing going. So he was called Mushmouth Morton, right? But the short version was Mush Morton. And he was given command of the Wahoo in January 1943. Now, this was a fleet submarine, one of the Navy's best. And his mission was to sail in harm's way and sink Japanese shipping. And here we find him on the deck of the USS Wahoo, addressing his crew. Gentlemen, we are the last offensive weapon left in the United States Navy's arsenal. The battleships were sunk at Pearl Harbor. The new BBs haven't come into it. The carriers were sunk last year at Midway, Coral Sea, and Guadalcanal. The new carriers haven't come into it. Cruisers devastated. That's the Battle of the Java Sea and other battles. That leaves the destroyers and the PT boats. Those are defensive weapons. The only offensive weapon left is us, a submarine. We will sail directly in harm's way and engage the enemy in his territory and do everything we can to bring Japanese shipping to its knees. We are headed for New Guinea. And on our way, we will train. We are trained the whole way to New Guinea. We will practice everything, gunnery, torpedo fire, and especially dives. We will practice our dives. Battle stations, everybody. Captain on the bridge. Stand by to dive. Dive, 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 dive. Hatch is secured, 30-degree down bubble. Periscope up. All right. Standby tubes 1 and 2. Periscope up. Periscope down. Now hear this, is the captain speaking. That was not good enough, gentlemen. That was not good enough. That took 45 seconds to achieve periscope depth. We need to be at periscope depth in 30 seconds. 30 seconds, gentlemen. So let's try it again. Stand by. All right, bring her up. All right. Stand by to dive. Dive, 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 dive. Hatch is secure. 30 degrees down bubble. Periscope up. Standby tubes 1 and 2. Tell me when we're at periscope depth. Confirm periscope depth. Periscope up. Now hear this, is the captain speaking. That was not good enough, gentlemen. That was not good enough. That was 35 seconds. We need to do this in 30 seconds. So here's what we're gonna have. This time we'll have a trim party. When we're descending, I will call to you. Everyone run forward to the forward torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Then I'll have you all run back when we've achieved periscope depth to the aft torpedo room. Run, 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 run. You will displace yourselves where ordered. All right, stand by. Bring us up. Stand by to dive. Dive, 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 dive. Hatch is secure, 30 degrees down bubble. Periscope up. Standby tubes 1 and 2. Forward torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Tell me when we achieve the periscope depth. Aft torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Down periscope. Now hear this, is the captain speaking. That's not good enough, gentlemen. That was 33 seconds. 33 seconds. That's not fast enough, gentlemen. We need to be faster. Let's try one more time. Stand by. All right, bring us up. Stand by to dive. Dive, 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 dive. Hatch is secure, 30-degree down bubble. Periscope up. Standby tubes 1 and 2. Forward torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Confirm periscope depth. Aft torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Periscope down. Gentlemen, we're still not there. That's 32 seconds. We need to shave 2 seconds off all this thing. Okay, let's try it one more time. I love this. I love this. I love this. It was so inspiring to me. I wanted to be an actor. And when I got to high school, it was all about talent. It's like, he's got talent. He's got talent. He's got talent. And I kept wondering, well, what is talent? What is talent? What is talent? And then I realized talent is rehearsal. The more you rehearse those dance numbers, the better you got at it. Yeah! Talent is hard work. And that's what Mush Morton was teaching me. Go over it and over it and over it again. I was learning from Mush Morton. He was incredible, my favorite. Dive, 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 dive. He was great. So now we're approaching WWII. Now hear this, now hear this. That's the captain speaking. We're approaching the port of WWII, New Guinea. We'll be going through in the dark, on the surface. We'll be going through reefs. So you might hear us dragging across a reef. Stand by for collision. All right. I'll head full. All right, XO. Now the XO is the executive officer. That's the second in command. It's very important. He's very important on this submarine. Very important, the XO. All right, XO. Keep an eye out for phosphorus waves. Show us where the reefs are. Here we go. Steer course 230. Steer course 225. Steer course 230. 235, 235, 235. We're through. We're through. Thank God we're through. All right, next up, let's take a look, see what have we got. I see something with stats. Yeah, I see antenna. You see it too? What is it? I think you're right, XO. I think it's a destroyer. I think it's a destroyer sitting right there, a Japanese destroyer. What's up beside it? I think you're right. I think those are submarines tied up beside it. Okay. Now hear this, this is the captain speaking. We have sighted a Japanese destroyer. We're going to attack. We're going to attack. Helmsman, set course 240, 240, confirm. Here we go. Yep. Oh my God, it's coming out. It's coming out. All right, it's coming to get us. It's coming to get us. It's coming to get us. Radar, on your mark. 1500, 1500. Standby tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Confirm. Confirm 1, 2, 3, and 4. Confirm 1500. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4. Missed. All right, radar. Your mark is 1200. Confirm 1200. Standby tubes 5, 6, 7, and 8. Confirm 5, 6, 7, and 8. Confirm 1200. Fire 5, fire 6, fire 7, fire 8. Mister, she's coming right at us. Dive, 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 dive. Hatches secured. 30-degree down bubble. Periscope up. Standby tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Forward torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Level. Torpedo room. Run, 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 run. All right. Radar, your mark is 800, 800. Standing by on torpedo tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Confirm. Confirming 800. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4. Ha! We did it! We did it! Ha! Look at that, XO. Look at that. You see that? That captain lost his nerve. He lost his nerve. He swerved at the last minute. You see that? He swerved right into it. We hit him amidships. Yes, indeed. We've broken his back. We've broken it. Now hear this. Now hear this. This is your captain speaking. You just fired down the throat shot right into a Japanese destroyer. The first time in US submarine history, a down the throat shot, and you achieved periscope depth in 29 seconds. That's excellent work, gentlemen. Excellent. Down the throat shot, first time ever. All right, let's take her up. Look at her. Yeah, he's limping to shore. He'll never make it. He is sunk, sunk, sunk. Radar, spot aircraft, distance. Confirm 4000. All right. They've spotted us. They're coming to get us. Okay, dive, 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 dive. Hatches secured. 3rd-degree down bubble. Periscope up. And secure all torpedo tubes. Fire torpedo run, 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 run. Put the periscope down. Put it down. Get started 90 feet. Confirm 90 feet. 90 feet confirmed. Aft torpedo room. Run, 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 run. Now hear this, now hear this. This is the captain speaking. We have aircraft above us. They're going to depth charge us. We also might have another Japanese destroyer up there. So rig for silent running. I want no sound on this vessel, no sound. Rig for depth charges and hang on. Here we go. Now, this is very important because this is the big depth charge scene. Now, what happens is these barrels come down at a certain depth, they explode and make the sub go like this. And then they come down and the sub rocks under the explosions. Of course, the Japanese don't want to make the sub rock. They want to hit the sub, but that's very hard to be that precise. But the explosions will come on either side and they'll rock the sub, they'll rock the sub, they'll rock the sub. And what I love about this scene is that everybody in the sub has to go from one side of the set to the other, one side of the set to the other, like this. Watch this. So it reminds me of those campy old Star Trek episodes when the Star Trek was being attacked, you know, the Enterprise, and they didn't move the set. The set didn't do this. It's just the camera moved, and all the actors went, ah, ah, ah. They even made a camp fun of it in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. At the beginning, there's this totally campy scene where like Bones and Spock are going, ah, ah, and you're like, that'd be so phony. And then it turns out to be a drill. It is phony. It was just rehearsal. It's great. So here we are on the Wahoo being depth charged. Now hear this, this is the captain speaking. We've survived the depth charge. Good work, gentlemen. And I love this because it made me realize that when I was on stage, I was so inspired by Mush Morton because I could do these things on stage. I didn't have to make the stage go like this or like that. I could just go tell everybody to go, ah, like the Poseidon Adventure. Ah, ah, it was great. Mush Morton was such an inspiration, such an inspiration. Now hear this, now hear this. We have to get back through that reef. We're going to do it underwater on sonar. So brace yourselves. We might crash into something. Okay, let's hear it. Bing. Steer 235. Bing, 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 bing. Steer 240. Bing, 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 bing. Steer. 240. We've cleared. We've cleared. We've cleared. Now hear this, this is the captain speaking. We're headed to the Palau Islands. All right, here we go, gentlemen. We're going to find the Japanese fleet and send it to the bottom. So they surfaced and they headed to the Palau Islands. And this was great because the Palaus are right between the Philippines and New Guinea. Now, New Guinea is where they had come from. That's where General MacArthur with the US Army was fighting the Japanese. And they got all their supplies from the Philippines. So all the supplies, all the men, all the equipment, all the fuel had to pass the Palaus. And that's exactly where Mush Morton was putting the Wahoo, in the Palaus, waiting for all those ships to come by, all those freighters, all those transports to come by. And there he was on the surface. I see it. All right. I see two Japanese freighters. Okay, let's get in front of them. Let's get in front of them. All head full. All head full. That's it. That's it. Get in front of them. That's it. 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 We don't have time to turn around. We don't have time to turn around. Okay, so we're gonna do a bow shot. Stand by torpedo tubes. Bow. Aft. Aft torpedo tubes. Aft torpedo tubes. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Stand by. Stand by torpedo tubes. Aft. 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Fire 1. Fire 2. Fire 3. Fire 4. Three hits. 3 hits on 2 freighters. I love it. Oh, here we got a transport. Look at the size of that. That must have a couple thousand men on it. Okay, here we go. Transport. We'll do it with 4 torpedo tubes. Okay. Distance 1500. Confirm. Confirm. Standby torpedo tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Forward. Fire 1. Fire 2. Fire 3. Fire 4. Ah, we did it. Look at that transport burn. Look at go. All right. One of those freighters is going to try and ram us. I can't believe we survived that. Okay. All right. Dive, 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 dive. Hatches secure. 30-degree down bubble. Periscope up. Stand by. 4 torpedo tubes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Let's swing around. Course 180. 180. Here she comes. She's coming right at us. All right, it's gonna be another down the throat shot. All right, your mark is 1250 radar, confirm. Okay, confirm. Okay, standby torpedo tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, confirm 1250. All right, fire 1, fire 2. We got her, we got her. She's not going down. She must be compartmented. She must be compartmented. Damn it. Damn it. Now hear this. Now hear this. This is the captain speaking. I am now looking at a transport ship sinking, a freighter sunk, and another freighter making a run for it that we've already hit twice. So we're going to catch up with that one. Good work, gentlemen. Good shooting. I see a tanker. My God, this is great. I see a tanker. I see a tanker. I see a tanker. And we got the transport ship sinking. Okay, so let's take care of the transport ship. Okay, stand by, tube 3, and fire 3. Miss. Fire 4. Okay, now let's go for that tanker. Let's go. But I love this. I love this. Mush Morton was just like boom, 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 boom. This is the whole fleet. He's after 4 ships now, 4 ships. And he thinks one, another one's chasing him, and he sees a new one. I loved it. I loved it. He was so inspiring. Like, get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. All right, let's get that tanker. Let's get that. What is that? Battery. All right, excellent. Battery's low. We are doing it on the surface. Okay. Periscope down. All right, take her up. Okay. All right, where's our tanker? Jesus. Where the hell did these people come from? They're everywhere. XO, what is this? There must be 3,000 people in the water up here. The transport. Yeah, I think you're right. They're all survivors of the transport. They're everywhere. Now hear this. Now hear this. This is the captain speaking. Battle stations. On deck, battle stations. Man your guns. Man your guns. All right, XO. Take command of deck guns. Now listen to me, everybody. I want you to fire on all lifeboats and anyone you see in a life jacket. You see them in the water, shoot them. I want all these men killed in the water. Hang on a second. What is it, XO? Yes, I understand that they're non-combatants. I understand that they're helpless, XO. They're also soldiers. We're here to kill Japanese soldiers. Now, all these men were headed for New Guinea. If they get to New Guinea, they're going to fight MacArthur. I understand that, XO. XO, you will give these orders. You will order the men to shoot the Japanese soldiers in the water and in the lifeboats. You will do. XO, if you have a problem with my orders, you can go to your stateroom and I will place you under arrest. Very well. All right. I want you to open fire on all lifeboats and anybody in a life jacket. I want everybody in sight dead. I don't want one floating Japanese to be alive. I will direct fire. Go ahead. So I read about Mush Morton in high school, but I didn't read that about him. And that doesn't come up in any submarine movie. I discovered that in a book in the UC Berkeley Library in Doe when I was in college, that he surfaced and killed thousands of people in the water after he sunk that transport. I thought, well, that's an atrocity. That's a war crime. I was completely disillusioned. I didn't know what to think. All right, Ensign, get your log. This is for the log. We destroyed all of the boats and most of the troops and life jackets. Yep, put that in the log. All right, let's get that tanker. All right, fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. Fire 4. All right, now let's get that freighter trying to get away from us. Full speed ahead. Go ahead. All right, radar at 1500. That's your mark. 1500. Confirm. It's firing us. No, I don't want to submerge. We'll shoot out from here. Confirm 1500. One, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4. Now hear this, now hear this. This is the captain speaking. You have just sunk a transport ship full of soldiers headed off to fight General MacArthur, 2 freighters full of their supplies, and a tanker there to feed them fuel. Congratulations, gentlemen. You sank an entire convoy. That is A1 upright work, gentlemen. First time in American submarine history. Ensign, I want you to hang this broom from the antenna so it's way up there high above the conning tower. When we sail into Pearl Harbor, I want everybody to see a clean sweep of the Pacific Ocean by the Wahoo. So we headed back to Pearl, broom on high, and I went in to see the Admiral. Admiral, sir. Well, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure, sir. Of course, sir. Yes, sir. I absolutely agree, sir. And thank you for the Navy Cross, sir. Much appreciated. Sir, I was going to ask you, what about a Medal of Honor? Well, it's not just for me. I mean, of course, it'd be mine, but it'd be a recognition for the entire crew, a Medal of Honor. Well, yes, sir. I understand that that's a congressional decision, but, well, I mean, it's your recommendation, sir. You would make the... Yes, of course, I've read my logbook. I'm aware of every entry in that book, sir. Yes, sir. I dictated that entry. Excuse me, sir, but those soldiers were headed to fight MacArthur in New Guinea. Now, they might have been helpless in the water, but they would be picked up by another Japanese. Sir, I exercised initiative. I was told that I was supposed to execute indiscriminate submarine warfare. I was supposed to seek out and find. I did. When we surfaced, the entire complement of that transport. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. I beg your pardon, sir. Of course. The next cruise, we headed north to Midway to pick up supplies. What else have you got for us, Quartermaster? Molotov cocktails. What are we going to do with those? Well, how many crates of them do you have? All right, we'll figure out something to do with them. Now hear this, now hear this. This is the captain speaking. We are headed to the Yellow Sea. We'll be the first American submarine to enter the Yellow Sea. That is happy hunting ground for a submarine because the Japanese don't think an American sub would dare go there. It's too shallow. But we will move, move, move. They'll never catch up with us. The Yellow Sea is located between Manchuria and Japan, which means that every ship moving in that channel has oil on it, metal, steel, tin, iron. It will be happy hunting ground for us. Stand by. All right. All right. Let's take her down. Dive, 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 dive. All right. 3-degree down bubble. Periscope up. Standby tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. I see a freighter. I see a freighter. Okay. Confirm 1500. 1500 confirmed. Fire 1, fire 2. We got her. Periscope down. All right, let's surface. All right, bring her up. Now hear this, the captain speaking. All hands on deck, battle stations on deck. What are we doing, XO? We're taking care of the survivors. That's our job, XO. We're taking care of the survivors. Get that machine. I don't see any survivors. There's nobody in the water. Well, I guess we got lucky. They all went down with the ship. All right. This is the captain speaking. Set course for Korea. Set course for the coast of Korea. Look at that. A sea full of sampans and junks. Look at that. All head full, all head full. Head for those ships. There we go. There we go. All hands on deck. Battle stations on deck. Battle stations on deck. All right, gentlemen. I want you to use the deck gun and the machine guns against all the sampans and stand by. What is it, XO? Damn it. Yes, I know they're not carrying munitions. I know they're not military transport, but they're carrying food. They're carrying it back to Japan. Now, the Japanese can't fight a war with food. Sampans and junks are enemies. I will place you under arrest, XO. All right, let's get these sampans and junks. Let's get every one of them. All right, I'll direct fire. I want to see every single one of these things on fire. Here we go. The more I read about this, the more upset I got. Everywhere he went, he found helpless targets. It wasn't just big ships, it was tiny ships, it was small ships, it was all kinds of ships. And I found this quote of his. This is a direct quote of Mush Morton. What was this person doing? That's what I thought when I read this quote. Anyone who has not experienced the feel of life on the deck of a surface submarine with the deck gun firing and all machine guns going has not lived. Well, when else would he be doing that? When else would he be doing that except when he was machine gunning helpless people in defenseless boats or people in the water? It was horrifying. All right, we have a call here. All right, let's take it. All right. Confirm 1500. Confirm. Fire 1, fire 2. And we have a tanker. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. Those all failed. Every single one of those failed. Fire 4. That's 3 torpedoes failed. What the hell is that? What is that? Is that one of our torpedoes? All stop, all stop, all stop. Reverse, reverse, reverse. So that was one of our torpedoes. That was one of our torpedoes. All right, let's get this freighter. Standby tubes 1 and 2. Fire 1. That blew up halfway to the ship. What the hell is wrong with these torpedoes? All right. All hands on deck. Battle stations, battle stations. Let's get it with the deck gun. Get it with the deck gun. I see a fishing trawler over there. Let's go to it. All head 1/3. All right. Deck gun, machine guns, 20 millimeters. All right, let's take it. Let's take that. You're jammed. What do you mean you're jammed? All right, 20 millimeters. Let's get the, what do you mean you're jammed? All 3 guns are jammed. Now hear this is the captain. Chief, I want you to break out those Molotov cocktails. Get them up here. Get them all up here, all the crates on the deck. All right, gentlemen, gather around. This is a Molotov cocktail. It's a wine bottle full of gasoline. This is a wick. You can take your lighters, you can light the wick, and then throw it at the fishing trawler. XO, yes, I know it's a fishing trawler. Still, it's taking food to Japan. Is it okay with you if I attack this vessel? Thank you. All right, gentlemen, I want to see that thing burning. I want that ship burn, burn, burn. Okay, all at 1/3. And right standard rudder. Let's take a slow spin around this trawler. All right, there you go, gentlemen. Enjoy yourself. Molotov party, Molotov cocktail. Okay, we've got a freighter. We've got a freighter in front of us. That's easy pickings. Okay. 1500, confirm. Okay, standby tubes 1 and 2. Fire 1, fire 2. Now hear this, now hear this. This is the captain speaking. That's 9 ships, gentlemen, 9 ships in 23 days. That's the highest record of any submarine in U.S. naval submarine history. We did it, gentlemen, we did it in 23 days. It's the shortest cruise ever. Thank you, gentlemen. On our 3rd cruise, we kept launching torpedoes and only half of them exploded. Then we launched a torpedo against a freighter. Fire 1. It's a duck. Did you see that? Did you see that, XO? It hit that ship and then bounced backwards away from it. What the? These torpedoes are terrible, XO. They are terrible. When I got back to Pearl Harbor, I stormed into the Admiral's office. Excuse me, Admiral. But I had 8 attacks. 8 attacks, and I only sunk 4 ships because of faulty torpedoes. The Mark VI is a disastrous weapon. It is the worst. I do not accept that, Admiral. It is not a good piece of ordnance. No, Admiral, I do not accept that. The magnetic firing charge, the explosive, either the magnetic charge doesn't go off when it passes under the ships, or when it hits the ships, it's a dud. They don't work, Admiral. They don't. Do I have your permission to fire a full complement of torpedoes in a test? Thank you, sir. Will you come to that test? Why not, sir? I'm sorry, sir. I beg your pardon. Thank you, sir. I'll be back with a full report. XO, what's the name of that island? That island in the chain. Wahoo06. Yeah, that's where they blow everything up, right? Okay, we're going to take the sub out there with a full complement of torpedoes. We're just going to fire 24 torpedoes at that island, and we're going to count how many of them fail. But we need a witness. Who can we get? No, the Admiral won't come. Hey, that secretary of his, that pretty secretary. Yeah, okay, yeah, here, listen. Get her on the ship for the cruise. I don't care, take her out to dinner. I know you're married, XO, I know that. Take her out to lunch and then just bring her for a little cruise, okay? That's all you have to do. Thank you. Hello, miss. Welcome aboard, young lady. I'm the captain, Captain Mush Morton. Wow, it's nice to have you here. We're gonna do a little torpedo demonstration for you. Yeah, you see that lovely island? It's called Wahoo06. Yeah, this is where they drop all the bombs. That's what it's there for, to be bombed. Well, we're gonna shoot some torpedoes against that. Here, a pair of binoculars. Enjoy the show, young lady. All right. Standby tubes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fire all tubes. How'd you like that, young lady? Yeah, I mean, one of them exploded. Yeah, you'll remember that, right? And tell it to the Admiral. All right. XO, let's shoot off the remainder of these tubes for the young lady. That's right, young lady. Keep an eye on them. Count. Count how many of them go off. Admiral, we conducted our test. Oh, your secretary told you. 4 detonations out of 24 torpedoes launched, Admiral. That's it. Yes. They're faulty. The Mark VI are faulty. Well, excuse me, sir. I beg your pardon, sir. We designed our own exploder cap. We fitted it onto the torpedoes. We launched them against that island, and we achieved 4 detonations out of 24 shots. Our exploder cap works. It works. Permission to take our exploder caps on the next cruise. Thank you, sir. Permission to submit our exploder cap to the Ordnance Division in Virginia. Thank you, sir. One more request, sir. The Sea of Japan. No subs were allowed in the Sea of Japan. We got to go there because of the easy pickings. The Japanese have no escort, no flyovers, nothing. They don't think any American will go there. It'll be a field day, sir. Yes, I know we'll have to go through the minefield, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now hear this, is the captain speaking. We're heading for the Sea of Japan. We'll have to go through the La Perouse Straits, which means we'll have to go through a minefield. Now we'll be going below the mines, but we'll still have to deal with the mine chains. If we get hung up on a chain, we can drag a mine down with us, and that's the end of this. That's the end of this boat. All right. Stand by. All right, take her down. 30-degree down bubble. All right, here we go. All head 1/3. Course 320. Left standing rudder. Right center rudder. Left standing rudder. Stop, full stop. We're hung up on it. All right, reverse, slow, reverse. Stop. We gotta shake it free. Okay. Work the rudder. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Stop. Let's see if we can drift off of it. Do nothing. All head 1/3. Left standing rudder. Now hear this, is the captain speaking. We are through La Perouse Straits. We almost got hung up on a mine cable there, but we managed to get through. Congratulations, gentlemen. We are now in the Sea of Japan. All right, periscope up. Let's do this one on the surface. Periscope down. Yeah, we got a freighter. All right, our mark is going to be 1250. Confirm 1250. Standby torpedo tubes 1 and 2. Fire 1. Fire 2. Second one's gone. All right, she's going down. What the hell is that? What the? That's our torpedo coming back at us. All head full. All head full. All head full. It's coming back at us. Coming back at us. Clear. Cross your fingers, gentlemen. Cross your fingers. God damn it. These Mark IVs are a menace. They're an absolute menace. What are we going to do? What the hell are we going to do? All right. I see sampans and junks in front of us. All head full. Let's get amongst them. All right. Battle stations. Everybody on deck. Battle stations. What is it, XO? Yes, I am going to attack the sampans and the junks. What about it? Excuse me, XO. What? All right, come here. Listen, I don't want a mutiny on my record. I don't want a mutiny on my record. So if we cruise up to every sampan and junk and warn them that we're going to attack and make sure they get into their boats, can I then burn them? Thank you. And what if they don't have boats? We take them on board. As what? Prisoners? Yes, fine. It's fine. Yes. All right, gentlemen, on the deck. We're going to approach each sampan and junk. We'll tell them that they have to abandon ship, and then we'll destroy the vessels. Don't shoot at anything unless I get an order. All right, all head full. Aye there! Aye! I hope you're satisfied, XO. What? Well, bring them aboard. How many of them are there? All right, 8. Yeah, put him in the forward torpedo room. Yeah, bring him aboard, bring him aboard, bring him aboard. All right, XO. All right. All right, let's get this freighter. Confirm 1500. Fire 1, fire 2. We got a stray torpedo. We got a stray torpedo. We've got another torpedo coming at us. All head full, all head full. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. So what the hell is going on? Talk to the chief. Now hear this, now hear this. This is the captain speaking. Chief, meet me. Meet me by the periscope. I'll be down there to join you. Meet me there. That's a secure. Chief, XO said I should talk to you about these torpedoes, the Mark IVs. Yeah, tell me about them. Well, here's the thing, Captain. Attack position is supposed to be submerged. Now, you've been attacking on the surface, which is the new tactic of all submarine commanders. But you're supposed to be attacking submerged. Now, the Mark VI torpedo is designed to circle. If it misses, it circles. That way, if you're on the ocean floor and you're being depth charged, you can launch a torpedo and it will circle. It will circle. It will circle to the surface and hit the destroyer. Even if you're launching from periscope depth and you miss, it will circle. It will circle and miss you and then hit the destroyer. They're designed that way, Admiral. They're designed that way. They're rigged to circle. That's ridiculous. We've been attacking on the surface for over a year now. Why would they alter the torpedoes? They never learned. They never heard that we were attacking on the surface, Admiral. They never heard it. They never heard it. Nobody told them. That's ridiculous. That is completely ridiculous. These are faulty torpedoes, but they're not designed to circle back into us. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate what you have to say, but I don't accept it. It doesn't really matter, though, does it? Because most of these torpedoes don't explode. We return to Pearl, and finally, we're given the Mark 18 torpedoes with new exploder caps. These are electric torpedoes, newly designed, and they worked. We tested them, and they exploded. And we headed back out to the Sea of Japan. We made it through the La Perouse Straits. We didn't detonate any mines, and there we were in the Sea of Japan, submerged. Hatches secured. Okay, bring the periscope up. 30-degree down bubble. Standby tubes 1 and 2. 1 and 2. All right, stay close to the surface. Stay close to the surface. I just want to ride it. There we go. It's a little rough out there. Yeah, just ride the surface. I just want the periscope up. I just want it up. Okay, confirm 1500. Standby tubes 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Okay, and fire 1. Fire 2. The other one missed. Damn it. Okay, stay near the surface. Stay near the surface. Bing, 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 bing. What is that radar? Bing, 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 bing. Is that our torpedo? Bing, 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 bing. That's our torpedo. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, I'm full. Oh, I'm full. Oh, this is the captain speaking. Brace for impact. Brace for impact. And that was the end of the Wahoo. Mush Morton wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. The torpedoes circled on the surface or near the surface. He was sunk in the Sea of Japan by one of his own torpedoes, lost to faulty American ordnance. And as I thought about Mush Morton, I realized that this couldn't be a hero for me because he was savage. He took war to its extremity. He was machine gunning people in the water, and I was so disillusioned. But I continued to believe for some weird reason in the Navy until I realized I was gay. And I knew that there was no place for me in the Navy. And then more sinister things began rearing their heads. Suddenly they were persecuting gays in the military. I mean, actively going after them under the Bush administration. It was terrible. In 1987, I came out. In 1989, something terrible happened in the Navy. It was a horrifying incident. It happened on the USS Iowa. Now, remember I told you that my daddy took us on the Missouri, that great ship up in Seattle, the Missouri, the Mighty Mo? Well, the USS Iowa was one of its sister ships, this incredible 16-inch battleship. It was huge. It was one of the victors of the Second World War. And in 1989, it was still in commission. And there were two seamen on it named Truett and Hartwig. And Truett and Hartwig were not like other seamen. Whenever they got shore leave, they did very unique things. They didn't go to bars. They went to art museums. They really liked each other. And they were given watch together. And one night, they were found wrestling on the deck on watch. And they got in trouble. And people started to joke about how they were gay. Now, this wasn't serious. It wasn't serious. But they used to make fun of them as being gay. They were too close. They were wrestling. They shouldn't wrestle. They're gay. They're gay. It was a joke. It was a joke on the USS Iowa. But Truett got married. And then Hartwig got an insurance policy, and he made Truett the beneficiary. This came out later, but was considered by everybody to be very suspicious. Now, both these men were gunner's mates, so they fired the 16-inch guns of USS Iowa. And on March 19th, 1989, during a gunnery demonstration, turret 2 of the USS Iowa, with Hartwig in it, exploded. 47 men were instantly killed. Truett was right nearby, but he wasn't killed. But Hartwig was killed. Why did this happen? Because it was an old battleship. This was a World War II battleship in 1989. It was 45 years old. It was also old ammunition. The ammunition being used was from the Korean War. This was ancient stuff. So why was it still in commission? Why was it still being used? Because people love battleships. People like me worship battleships, the BBs, the battle wagons. We love them. So for marketing purposes, for publicity, the United States kept 4 battleships in action, even though they were antiquated and not safe. When the turret exploded, everybody inside of it was torn to shreds. All they found were mutilated pieces, chunks of bodies in that turret. That's all they found of the survivors. 47 killed, including Hartwig. The admiral in charge had the entire turret cleaned out. So the evidence was destroyed. The evidence of the bodies was destroyed. And then the NIS, the Naval Investigative Service, took over. And they wanted to find a reason for this explosion, but they didn't want it to be the Navy's fault. They didn't want it to be that this was a 45-year-old battleship with 40-year-old ammunition. And then they found that insurance policy of Hartwig's made out to Truett. And an insurance policy from one man to another meant gay. So the NIS and the FBI came up with the theory that Truett was jealous of Hartwig. So he blew up turret 2. That didn't stick. It didn't make sense. Truett didn't even know he was going to be assigned to turret 2 that morning. So then the NIS came up with the theory that Hartwig was jealous of Truett because he was involved with another man, and he wanted to blow both of them up. He wanted to blow all 3 of them up in some weird suicide pact, and they pushed this through. They pushed this through. There was no evidence whatsoever that Hartwig or Truett were gay, but they kept fabricating evidence. And finally, Admiral Milligan of the Navy, who was in charge of the investigation, presented his evidence to the Bush administration. Well, the Bush administration said that it was hogwash. They couldn't support it. But Milligan went to the press and he said, this is why turret 2 blew up, because of a gay love triangle, because of some weird gay pact. Hartwig is responsible. He blew up turret 2. He blew it up. This went all the way to Congress. The Senate said, no, go back to the drawing board, investigate the explosion, investigate the ship, figure out what was wrong. You can't blame it on this. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And sure enough, on further investigation, they determined that the battleship was just old. It was ancient. That's why it blew up. And it wasn't safe because the ordnance was 40 years old. So just like Mush Morton's torpedo, it wasn't reliable. The result? The gay guys were off the hook, but because homosexuality was illegal in the US Navy, it seemed an obvious choice to go for the gay guys, to blame them. Consequently, all of the US battleships were taken out of the line. There'd be no more battleships in commission because they were old, they were ancient. And it spotlighted what was going on in the United States Navy. The witch hunts, the persecution of gay people in the United States Navy. And strangely enough, years later, the USS Iowa was trying to find a home base. And it was brought to San Francisco. It was moored down to the piers by Sinbad's restaurant. And they wanted to make this the home base of the USS Iowa. But a gay group led by an ex-US Navy officer who was queer, Bob Dockendorf, who was a supporter of Theatre Rhinoceros, led the fight to have the USS Iowa not stationed here, not berthed here. He also did the same for the USS Missouri, this notorious ship. So I tracked this ship. It was sent up to near Benicia to the mothball fleet. It sat there for years. We used to go see it in our car. And then one day, Michael and I were riding our bikes around Point Richmond. And we got to the top of the hill and we looked down and there was a huge battleship. This big battleship moored in Richmond. And it looked like hell. The paint was peeling off it. It looked like a catastrophe. So we rode our bikes down. And when we got to the pier, we were on the other side of it. And the other side of it was beautiful. It was beautifully painted. And we went on board the USS Iowa, the most notorious ship in the Navy. And they painted one side of it. That seemed like something, didn't it? The mask side, its filthy underbelly had been painted over on one side. And we toured this notorious battleship. And sure enough, it wasn't finding a home in the Bay Area. We wouldn't have it. So it ended up being sent down to Long Beach, where it's now moored by the Queen Mary. The USS Iowa revived. And all this made me think about my obsession with the Navy, Mush Morton, with the ruthlessness of naval officers, both in peace and in wartime. You know, I admire my daddy and my grandpa for serving in the wars, but I couldn't reconcile Mush Morton and the USS Iowa with my early glamorous thoughts of these wonderful, beautiful ships. Now I see them, and I just see something sinister. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is John Fisher, and this has been Wahoo. Theatre Rhinoceros is presenting new theater live on Zoom and Facebook Live. We hope you can join us for productions coming up. We have a production with Susie Jane Edwards coming up on Tuesday. I have another broadcast on Thursday, and then we have a special Pride event on the following Monday. We hope you can join us for all those events. They are free, and you can find out about them on therhino.org. If you'd like to donate to our theater in this current crisis to help us forge ahead, you can do so on our website, therhino.org. That's THERHINO.org. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is John Fisher, and this has been Wahoo. Good night.